In this session, we are going to talk about connecting to the data, different kinds of data sources using Tableau. We all know that Tableau can visualize the data to any extent, right? And different kinds of databases it can very comfortably interact. And once it retrieves the data, it can be stored, that particular data can be stored in an extract in the local machine. So we need to understand how we connect to different kinds of data sources. So in many cases you may have even multiple connections to different kinds of data sources. Probably even if I am talking about an Excel sheet, Excel file, within the Excel file there could be many sheets. So each connection, whatever we are creating, will be shown under the data tab. So if we simply want to look at, we'll quickly try out different kinds of connections in Tableau. I if it is a blank, right? Probably let's open a fresh one. So, right, this one. That let me save it here, and let me open a fresh one. So this is a fresh. Now I need to first connect to the data, right? So here it is giving me different kinds of data sources, and so any of these data sources I can very well choose, right? I can connect to an Excel or text or whatever. So let's say I want to connect to an Excel. So here there are two major distinctions for us. One, I can connect to a file which is a local stuff, right? So the data is in a file which is located in a directory, or I can connect to a server. So data is present in the database that is present on some server. So I can very well connect to any of these two different kinds of major sources. So if I am saying I want to connect to the data in a file, so some of the various file based sources, one we have the Tableau data extract. So which means data is extracted from some underlying source database into Tableau. They are generally stored with extension .tde files. So from some original source the data is extracted and it is saved as a .tde file. And now once it is extracted, the original connection, the connection to the original is simply lost. So the whole operation happens on that TDE extract, but the original data source is undisturbed, and it can even access databases, or you can even get Excel files, right? XLS, XLSX, any kind of extension, or you can even get text files or CSV files. And here the multiple text files, if I have 3 or 4 text files, they can even be joined. We'll talk about the joinings later, but even the text and CSV files can be imported. We can even talk about the statistical files, right? You can have the file saved in SPSS, which gets saved as .sav, or you can have it as a SAS, which could be a SAS 7 BDAT, or it could be an r.rda file, whatever. So depending on the different kinds of statistical softwares, you can even extract the data from statistical softwares, or you can even get from another Tableau workbook, right? One Tableau workbook can get from another Tableau workbook. The Tableau workbooks are generally saved with .twb, or we'll talk about .twbx. We'll talk about the difference between these two. So any of these things can very well be, these are all called as the file based connections. Right, I can connect to any of them. We have seen the example earlier, the coffee chain example, where we have connected to an Access database. Now I can very well connect to Excel as well, any Excel file, right? So here within Tableau there is one example that is provided, right? You go to your Tableau installation directory, my Tableau repository, wherein you can go to the data sources that are published as a part of Tableau, right? Within that data sources I can very well go to the sample. So we have the sample, right? The sample superstore. I can simply click on this sample superstore. Now if I simply look at this data, there are 3 Excel sheets within it. That Excel file has 3 Excel sheets. One is the orders, which was talking about the list of all the orders. Then we had a sheet talking about the people, that is the customers related stuff, and the return. So this is the kind of a connection that got developed between your original data, which is that Excel file, and this Tableau. Now if you look at a few things, this is the name of the connection: orders sample superstore. So if you want, you can very well change the name of it. So that's one important point. Then the next part is this one: live versus extract. So do I want the data live, which means if change happens in that Excel file, it is automatically reflected here. That is live. Extract is like copy paste. So any change that happens in the file later on, Excel file later on, that would not be reflected if I have taken an extract of it. Then the other important aspect here is the filters. So the data source is getting filtered here. So I can add it. I can add any number of filters. So at the data source level, the filtration happens. Right, if I am adding any kind of a filter here, right, I can put customer ID, only these customer IDs to be shown, only these cities should be shown. So I can very well add any of these filters. Now this filter, whatever I am applying, they will be excluded. They will not be shown in the data here, and even they will not be considered for visualization also. So even though my master data contains the whole, in this case let's say 9994 records, if I put some kind of a filter like, right, I mean we'll discuss about the filters in detail, but let's say I want only the state of California. Now what is that? I'll add a simple filter, state. Now within the state, if I say only California to be selected. Now what is this? This is what we are keeping as filter. Only 2001 records will be shown. And any kind of visualization that is created, it would be created only on that 2001 records itself. So that is the kind of advantage that we get with the filter. Then comes the workbook. So this is the source type, sample superstore.xls. So I know that it is an Excel file, and probably when I am clicking on this, it actually allows me to change the source, etc. I can point it to a different Excel file if I want. Then comes the major aspect. So whatever are the sheets that are there within this Excel file, they are all listed here. So the different kinds of tables that are there. So every sheet is a table in Excel. So the different kinds of sheets are being displayed out here. So again, in different cases, different entities are displayed. Now if it is an Excel file, there it would be the list of all the sheets and any kind of named ranges that we have given. All those will be highlighted separately and displayed. Whereas when I am connecting to a database like Access or something, it will list out all the kinds of tables and all the views that are typically there in that particular database. If I am talking about text files, it would be the list of all the text files in the folder that I have selected. List of all the text files in the folder that I have selected. There is an opportunity or a possibility to join them using a single connection. We'll talk about how we do the joining slightly later, but there is a flexibility where I can join them. Then comes the other important section, which is this section. This section is actually called as the selected tables. So out of the total tables that are there, right, these are the total tables that are there. Out of them, which are all the selected tables? So this is primarily meant for, one, I add the different kinds of tables to the data and I try to join them by some kind of relationships. The joins we'll discuss slightly in our next couple of chapters. So it is, we can create joins, we can define relationships between the two tables, and that is what can be done in this particular region, right? So that's one more major area. And then comes so this location, right? This is the location where you are actually previewing your data, right? The whole data is actually shown. So the headings, the type, and after that the actual data. So this entire thing is shown in this location. And then comes this particular section where how many records are there, right? It is clearly showing us how many records are there, and this can really help us in terms of cleaning up of the data as well. So it can show different kinds of records, and once the whole stuff is ready, now I can show aliases, I can show hidden fields, I can remove the hidden fields, lot of stuff. Now once everything is done, that is when we can start with the visualization process. That is, once I am done, I will come to this sheet and then start the visualization process. So that's the typical part of making a connection to any kind of source. And probably at any point in time, if I really want to edit any kind of connection also, I can very well select the data, right? This is the data. Let's say I want to go with, I can do an edit connection of this particular data source, and if I want to change the source and etc., I can very well go ahead and do the same. That is what I am doing as a part of editing the connection. So this is a very simple aspect as far as connecting to the files is concerned. Then if at all I want to connect to the data in the cloud, even Tableau really helps us in connecting to that kind of a data also. Probably if I want to connect to Google Analytics, right, where I really want to get the analytics of my website. And probably there are many other such kind of clouds sources where I can connect to. But of course, any kind of a source that I am connecting, I really need to look at the documentation that is provided by the service provider so that I can understand the connection and the structure of that particular data. How to actually connect to that particular data that is present in the cloud. So we'll try out if we can connect to Google Analytics. And we know, just as a tool, The Google Analytics, basically it provides some kind of a code, right? Google Analytics gives some kind of a small script which the user has to put in their web page, right? When you register with Google Analytics for your website, Google Analytics gives a small piece of code which is a script, and that script needs to be put in your web page so that Google Analytics will track different things regarding your website. So it does the recording of different kinds of traffic that comes to your website, and what kind of web pages are visited, what kind of profiles of people are visiting, etc. It gives a kind of online dashboard, right? Just I would like to show you that online dashboard that it gives. So something like this. Right now I am doing it for our own website pacegurus.com. So it gives different kinds of dashboards and representations. You are seeing today around 18 sessions have happened by now, right? 18 users have visited, 49 page views. Probably I can do it interactive, let's say over the last 1 month, right? In the last 1 month, what are the number of visitors to your website? We had almost 2200 sessions with 1699 users, right? These many page views. So per session, these are the page views. Okay, looking at the city, there is a dominance from Hyderabad, New Delhi, Mumbai, and country wise, probably India is having a big market, yeah, per our website. Then we have a lot of customers from United States, United Kingdom, South Africa, etc. So you could see such kind of details that are provided about this one single website. Now what we are talking of is much better, more customized kind of analytics can be brought by connecting Tableau to this Google Analytics. So it will really help you to build your own custom dashboards, right? You can connect to Google Analytics, you can create your own custom dashboard, and probably if required you can achieve more and more deeper analysis, right? Now the best, let's try out if we can do it directly using our Tableau. Now if I go to the connect, new data source, right, to a server. So here we are talking about the cloud. So within the cloud, I'm going for Google Analytics. So when I click on it, I have to sign in to my Google account. Okay, once you have connected to your Google Analytics connection, so this is what you are going to get. So you're seeing your verify email address, verify basic profile, view your Google Analytics data. So you have all the access, connections, everything. Then you can directly go and customize your screen. So if I say I want to, so we are allowing Tableau to connect to all these things. Okay. So I am saying allow. Now once I allow it, this is what is coming out. It is showing me the name of the account, which is Space, the property, which is spacegurus.com, the profile, and what is the kind of filter that I really want to look at. So I can look at the profile for the last 30 days, or probably the fixed start, fixed end, some such kind of fixed range, the last years to yesterday, blah blah blah, all these kinds of things I can pull out. So let's say I want to do it from a fixed start date. So fixed start date to today, what is the kind of analytics that is typically associated with this particular website? So that is what is simply pulled out. Now the Google Analytics connection. So is asking us for all these things. So the date range and the segment. Segment is the all sessions. So this is limiting the amount of data that is pulled from Google, and Google will begin to return the data when the certain row count threshold is reached. So it will put some kind of a threshold, and it will pull only up to that threshold reaching. Now you can very well select different kinds of dimensions and measures to pull. Okay, there is a date dimension which it has already shown. Probably all these, right, relating to the acquisition. These are the different things that I can pull. The default channel, medium, right? If I want, let's say, the source, I want to pull the source. Or probably if I'm looking at advertising, if I have done something, the behavior, any landing page, let's say I want to get. So I can add my landing page, and similarly I can add whatever I want. Now here my intention is just customizing the analytics to our requirement. Then if I have some custom variables, we'll define them slightly later, but I can get my custom variables also, right? And if there are any kind of goal related stuff or any kind of social related elements, right, if you have connected them, are probably the users related. Okay, I can get the city of the user, right, and I can get probably the age of the users, a few things, right? You can very well choose what you want to get, right? You can also get what else, right? You can think of whatever you want, and you can simply select the stuff. Okay, so like this you can keep adding the stuff, right? City, state, country, date, the kind of browsers they have come from, a lot of stuff, right? Probably the page wise is one important stuff for us. Okay, keyword, right? Whatever the keyword with which they have actually visited the website. So a few such kind of things, and similarly I can keep adding different kinds of measures as well. Okay, so what are the, how many organic searches have really happened for this website, and what is the behavior, right? How much if you want, okay, what was the server response time, or what is the time that they have spent on the page, or probably how I want to see how much the time they have spent after the search, right? Some such kind of stuff. And okay, if there is something kind of buying, etc., I can get that as well, and I can get their social actions or something, or I can get the, okay, how many hits have actually, or how, what is the average time they have spent on the screen. And regarding the users, I can also see the page views, etc. So you can add some number of measures and some number of dimensions. I think there is a limit in terms of number of dimensions and number of measures that you can add. But yeah, right now our intention is just to understand the scope of the process. So we can just select these kind of stuff. So now this is the data, right? So once we have selected something like this, you have to extract this data, right? A kind of a local extract will be created. So it does not allow for a live connection. Just like many other cloud connections, it does not allow you for a live connection. It You really need to pull it into an extract, into a local TDE file, and you can do the analytics on the top of it. But whenever you want, you can very well refresh it. Right, once extracted, you can refresh it by just clicking on this particular aspect. So any change in the properties or any of these things, it immediately takes care and the data will be reconnected and re-extracted. So that's how we can very well make our connection to Google Analytics and extract the data regarding the particular website so that we can do much better profiling and much better visualization of the data using Tableau, right? So Tableau cannot just not connecting about different kinds of files. You can even use Tableau very effectively to connect to the various sources that are there in the cloud as well. All right. Thanks a lot for listening to this session. Thank you very much.